Today we're going to tie the Jersey Damsel. Jersey Damsel was originally tied to fish as a dropper underneath larger bass poppers. It proved itself pretty well, and I began fishing it more often independently, where it's done very, very well, especially from a float tube, tossing to the bank, stripping away. I fish it now on a floating line with a 4-foot leader, and I don't use weighted eyes anymore, so I don't want it to sink fast. I want it to stay just below the film and swim along. I find that it does very well in that manner. It's really one of my steady daily patterns in warm water fishing, and it's done well for me in still water trout as well. I start off with a size 10 standard nymph hook, 2x long, 1x heavy, and black 6/0 uni thread. I start my thread. Bring it back to about the point of the barb. And then I bring it back forward. Bring it to the point 2 eye lengths behind the eye. At that point we're going to tie in our eyes. I use plastic barbell eyes. As I said, I'm not going for weight. I'm going for the profile of the eyes. I fish this as like a I don't know. It sinks, but it's no longer a sinking fly for me. It began as a heavily weighted fly, but not anymore. I get it tied in good and hard, and then I come back to the point of the barb. Now we're going to tie in our ribbing, which is medium blue ultra wire. Tie it in the length of the body. Bring it back and throw it in the keeper. Our body is going to be 3 olive ostrich hurls. I even the tips, measure it out the length of the shank, and tie it in at the point of the barb. It's a very easy pattern to tie. You can crank these out, and you will go through them if you begin fishing them. You will go through these flies through the summer. They take a beating, but if you start using them, you'll go through them. And it's nice that it ties easy. And after I tie in, I bring my thread back to the point of the barb, and I anchor it again. Bring it back against itself, tie it down, and then I bring my thread forward to behind the eye. I do this pattern slightly different than you might imagine. I tie in the wing case at this point, just behind the eye, and then I pull it forward, and I give just a couple wraps just to help keep it out of the way. Then you're going to grab all 3 of your hackle, or all 3 of your hurl, and you're going to palm them forward, one in front of the other. You don't want to leave any space. You want this to be a fairly thick body, so keep the wraps close together. Steady pressure. They'll stand up on their own. You don't have to twist them. Bring it all the way up to behind the turkey, then bring the turkey back and put one wrap in front of it. and clip off your excess. At that point, you're going to bring your wire forward. And I'd say I leave about maybe a 1/16 of an inch between wraps. It's a size 10 fly. You should get 4 evenly spaced wraps behind, and then bring it forward, and I put one more wrap again in front of the turkey. Alright, at this point we're going to dub the thorax. For the thorax I use Peacock Ice Dub, and we're going to use a substantial amount. It compresses nicely. You want a slightly larger thorax. You don't want it to be too slim. It'll start to pick out, especially as it begins to get chewed up, and you don't want the head of this fly to disappear on you. I'm going to start behind, build a decent head. I come forward, I need just a little bit more. I usually do 2 or 3 wraps behind, 2 or 3 wraps to the front, and then I'll give at least one crossing X to fill in both under and on top of the eyes, but in between. And bring it back over. And bring your thread forward. If you've done it right, you should have a fairly unruly looking head. I trim off any of the obvious flyers for finishing the fly, just for maintenance purposes. And then you're going to pull your wing case forward between the eyes. Pull it forward. I crowd it a little bit with Ice Dub. Like I said, it does compress. Pull it back over, or push it back a little bit. And I like to give 3 wraps on top, 3 wraps to the front. I bury them pretty good. And then 3 more wraps. At this point we're going to clip off the excess. And build your head. And whip finish. If you got any flyers, like I said, Ice Dub will pick out on its own anyway, so no sense worrying about an individual fiber or two. But you don't want too many flyers to start with, or at least I don't. And at that point, this point here, you're going to finish your fly off by coating the wing case. You can use Sally Hansen's varnish, Bug Bond, whichever one you choose. I'm going to use Bug Bond here. and hit it with a little bit of light. Whichever lacquer or head cement you choose works just fine. A lot of times I use, if I'm tying a bunch of them up, I'll just use Sally Henson's with a brush. I'll hit 2 or 3 coats on each one and be done with it. And there it is, the Jersey Damsel. Very, very effective warm water fly. Pretty durable for ostrich herl. It works well as a dropper or individually, whichever you choose. And it doubles also for stillwater trout very well. I've done extremely well with this thing in still water, in a float tube or kick boat. There it is. I hope it adds to your box. Good luck on the water. Thank you.